How honest are you willing to be?
About what?
About why you're here? About whether any of this was your idea?
You want honest? My family sent me here as a joke. They don't think I have value.
She walked through the gate, expecting to be sent home in shame. She had no idea the man waiting inside already knew her family was lying to him. Someone in that house was about to lose everything, and it wasn't going to be her. The whole room laughed, not a little, hard, like someone had told the best joke of the year. "Send Brynlee," her stepmother said again, wiping tears from laughing so hard. Brynlee was sitting in the corner, 5 feet away, folding the same towel she'd been folding for 10 minutes because nobody had noticed she was still in the room. Nobody ever noticed Brynlee was in the room. That was the whole problem. She was 26. She had a college degree nobody asked about. She could cook a full dinner from nothing, fix a leaking faucet, balance a budget down to the penny. None of that mattered. When people looked at Brynlee, they saw flat shoes, no makeup, hair tied back, and a face that looked exactly like her mother's, the first wife, the one who died quietly in a hospital bed 7 years ago, while her husband was already halfway into a new life with someone else. In this house, looking like the forgotten woman meant you were already forgotten too. 3 days earlier, a man in an expensive suit had knocked on the front door and handed over a single envelope. Her stepmother, Dallas, opened it like a lottery ticket. Inside was a name everyone in the city knew: Kane Whitfield. Cain had built a logistics empire from a garage and a stubborn refusal to quit. 16 years later, his company ran in 11 countries. His wife had died 2 years ago, an illness that moved fast and left no time to prepare. He had one daughter, 17, who hadn't really smiled since the funeral. Cain wasn't looking for romance. His letter said it plainly. Stability, a partner, someone steady for a home gone quiet. His lawyer had reached out to a few families with daughters of a certain age. Not shopping for a wife, just an introduction. Dallas read the letter 4 times before calling her real daughters into the living room. Peyton, 28, had perfect lighting, 40,000 followers, and a credit card balance her mother quietly paid every month. She'd wanted to marry rich since she was 17. Sawyer, 25, was louder, funnier, the kind of girl who owned every room she entered. 2 dropped-out degrees, 3 failed businesses, and 0 patience. "He's worth $240 million, Dallas said. "That's the only fact you need." The planning started immediately: outfits, talking points, timing. Then Sawyer, just to be funny, just because consequences had never once crossed her mind before leaving her mouth, said it. "What about Brynlee? Let her finally be useful. He'll reject her in 5 minutes anyway." The laughter hit like a wave. And that was the moment Brynlee, 5 feet away, still holding the towel, heard her whole life turned into a punchline. Dallas stopped laughing first. Her brain never stopped working, even when her mouth was busy. She looked across the room, found the empty space by the doorway where people never bothered to look, and saw Brynlee standing there. Something shifted behind Dallas's eyes. Not kindness, calculation. "Actually," Dallas said slowly, and the room went silent, because that voice meant something real was coming. "That's not the worst idea." Sawyer blinked. "Mom, I was joking." "I know. I'm not." Dallas crossed the room and looked directly at her stepdaughter for the first time in months. "You're going to meet Kane Whitfield. Saturday." Brynlee said nothing. "Don't speak," Dallas snapped, though Brynlee hadn't. "Listen. You go. You sit there. You let him see exactly what a disappointment you are. He sends you home. And when he does, you tell him Peyton is available." Peyton's eyes sharpened. "He'll meet this one," Dallas said. Still watching Brynlee like she was studying furniture, she hadn't decided whether to keep or throw out. "He'll want nothing to do with her. Then he'll hear there are better options in this family. Curiosity does the rest." She smiled, and there was no warmth in it. "You're bait, Brynlee. Understand." Brynlee looked at her stepmother. At Peyton's quiet satisfaction. At Sawyer, who at least had the decency to look uncomfortable. "Yes, Mom," she said. That night, alone in the small room at the back of the house, Brynlee didn't cry. Crying needed a witness who cared, and there wasn't one here. She looked at the one photo she had of her mother, laughing, really laughing, at something outside the frame. Her mother had waited her whole life to be seen. The waiting killed her. Brynlee made a decision nobody would ever see her make, because nobody ever saw anything she did. She was going to that meeting as herself. Whatever was left of herself. Saturday came the way big days always do, ordinary on the outside, cracking wide open underneath. Brynlee wore a plain navy dress. No designer label, just clean and pressed. Dallas opened her mouth to complain. Brynlee said, "I'm ready," and something in her voice closed Dallas's mouth again. The car reached Kane Whitfield's gate at exactly 10 in the morning. Black iron, silent, enormous. The gate opened. Brynlee stepped through, and the entire shape of her life began changing, though neither she nor the man watching from the far end of the garden path knew it yet. Cain wasn't supposed to be there. Staff were supposed to greet guests, walk them to the sitting room, then quietly notify him. That was the system, the same one used for the two other introductions that had lasted under 40 minutes each. But something had pulled him out of his office that morning. He didn't understand it. He'd simply stood up mid-contract and walked outside. He watched the gate open. He watched her walk through. Not performing, not adjusting her hair, not smiling the practice smile people wear when they know eyes are on them. She just stood there, staring at the garden like she'd never seen anything so beautiful and was trying to memorize it all at once. For 4 seconds, she didn't know he was watching. In those 4 seconds, Cain saw something on her face that stopped him cold. Longing. Real. Unguarded. The kind you can't fake because you don't even realize it's showing. She looked at the roses the way a starving person looks at a table of food. Not greed, but grief. He hadn't seen a face that honest in years. Then she turned and saw him, and the look vanished, replaced by careful neutrality. The mask people wear when they've learned that showing anything real gets it taken from you. He recognized that mask. He wore it every day. He crossed the garden, hands in his pockets. No staff. No introduction. He stopped 2 feet away. "You must be Brynlee." "Yes." He offered his hand. She shook it. Firm, brief. "I'm Cain," he said. Not Mr. Whitfield. Just Cain. She'd expected arrogance. Her own father had been that kind of man, before he left to build a softer life elsewhere. Cain wasn't. Tall, quiet in his body. Lines under his eyes that didn't come from laughing. "Walk?" he asked. "Or inside? Whatever you want." "Walk," she said. They walked. For a while, neither spoke. Most people rush to fill silence because silence asks questions they aren't ready to answer. But Brynlee had spent years being invisible, and Cain had spent 2 years drowning in a house that grief had emptied of words. The silence between them wasn't uncomfortable. It was almost a relief. Cain spoke first. "How honest are you willing to be?" "About what?" "About why you're here. About whether any of this was your idea." Brynlee stopped walking. She looked at him for a long moment. "You want honest?" "My family sent me here as a joke," she said. The words dropped into the air like something breakable hitting concrete. "They don't think I have value. My mother died. My stepmother's daughters look the way people expect women to look. I don't. They thought sending me would be funny or useful, so when you rejected me, they could offer someone better." Silence. She waited for him to end the meeting, to look at her with polite pity. Instead, Cain sat down on the stone bench. He looked at the ground, then back up at her, and there was recognition in his face. "I need someone stable for my daughter," he said. "Not love. Not a performance. My daughter's mother died 2 years ago. She's been disappearing ever since, and I don't know how to stop it." He paused. "Everyone in my life wants something from me. You're the first person who walked through my gate and told me the truth without being asked twice." She sat on the other end of the bench, 2 feet of stone between them. "I'm not easy," she said. "I notice things people don't want noticed. I say true things at the wrong time. My family finds me exhausting." "Your family finds inconvenient truth exhausting," Cain said. "That's different." Something small and fragile moved between them. Neither named it. He showed her the house, a real walkthrough. In the kitchen, he admitted, almost embarrassed, that he hadn't eaten a real breakfast in 8 months because the cook made the same thing daily. Brynlee opened 2 cupboards. "Give me 20 minutes. You don't have to. I know. Eggs or not. Eggs." She cooked, moving naturally through a kitchen she'd never seen. When he finished eating, he said quietly, "That's the best thing I've eaten in this house in 2 years." Something in her chest shifted, a door moving where wind found a crack. That's when she met his daughter, Reese. 17. Her father's eyes, her mother's mouth, the blank expression of someone who'd learned the world takes things and doesn't give them back. Reese looked at the stranger next to her father, jaw tight, performing not caring, the loudest possible way to show you care completely. Brynlee didn't rush toward her. "Hi, Reese," she said. 2 words. No performance. "Hi," Reese said, reluctant, then vanished back into her room. "She hasn't said hi to anyone new in 14 months, Cain said quietly. At 1 o'clock, Brynlee said she had to go. Cain walked her to the gate himself, something his staff had apparently never seen him do. "I'd like to see you again," he said. "Why?" "Because people who tell the truth the first time usually keep telling it. I forgot what that feels like." "I'll think about it," she said, and got in the car. For minutes down the road, her phone rang. "Dallas. How did it go? Was he interested in someone else? Did you give him Peyton's number like I have to go." Brynlee hung up. Then her phone rang again. Unknown number. "Brynlee, it's Cain." A pause. "Reese just knocked on my study door. She asked your name again." She said, "I want you to hear exactly what she said. Is she coming back?" Silence on the line. "She hasn't asked about a person," Cain said, his voice raw. "Since her mother died." Brynlee closed her eyes. The city kept moving outside the window, indifferent as always. "I'll come back," she said. She heard him exhale. One long breath, like a man who'd been holding it for 2 years. She went back Tuesday. Didn't tell anyone. Took the bus across the city alone because she was done asking this family for anything, even permission. Cain was waiting at the gate again, coffee in hand, rumpled shirt, like he'd been up since before sunrise. When he saw her walking, no car, just her and a bag over her shoulder, something warm crossed his face. "You walked. Took the bus." "I haven't taken a bus in 19 years. I can tell." She found that day that Cain's enormous house was one of the loneliest places she'd ever stood in. Not the silence itself, she was comfortable with silence, but the kind of silence. The shape of someone who used to be there and wasn't anymore. A second coffee mug on the shelf, untouched. A blanket folded too carefully over a reading chair. Photographs down the hallway, faded, never rearranged. This house was a museum. The man living in it had stopped knowing how to live anywhere else. She met the head of household staff, a woman named Georgia. Broad-shouldered, careful-eyed, measuring her like something unfamiliar. "Please don't call me anything but Brynlee," she said. Something in Georgia's face softened by exactly 1 degree. Brynlee caught it. She'd spent years reading emotional movements people were trained to hide. They worked side by side for an hour. By the end, Georgia was talking. Telling her Mr. Whitfield ate dinner alone every night at a table set for 3, because nobody dared change it. That Reese hadn't eaten downstairs in 3 months. "Are you coming back?" Georgia asked. Blunt. The question of a woman who'd watched too many disappointments walk through that gate. "Yes." Georgia patted her hand once, gently. "Good," she said, and went back to work. Reese came down at noon, stood in the doorway, pretending not to be curious. "There's mango on the top shelf, behind the orange juice," Brynlee said without looking up. A pause. The fridge opened. "How did you know I liked mango?" "I didn't. I like mango. I assumed you might also be a person." A small, surprised laugh, gone as fast as it arrived. Cain, passing the doorway, froze, pressed his palm to the wall and closed his eyes. His daughter's first laugh in longer than he could remember. She kept coming back. Thursday. The following Monday. Wednesday after that. She reorganized his home office filing without asking. Left a note explaining why. She sat with Reese in silence while Reese did homework. No forced talk, just shared space. Reese started coming downstairs in real clothes instead of the same gray sweatshirt. Cain noticed everything and didn't know what to do with what he felt. He'd learned, from the worst teacher, that the things you love can leave without warning. For weeks in, everything shifted. In the library one evening, Cain asked, without looking up from his book, "Tell me about your mother." "She was kind," Brynlee said quietly. "Not soft, kind." She noticed when someone was hurting and just moved toward them. "She sounds like someone I would have liked." "She would have liked you too." "Why?" She said the most real people are the ones carrying something heavy who still choose to be gentle. Cain's jaw tightened. "I haven't been gentle. Not since she died. I've kept everything running, the company, the house, Reese's school. Everything's running perfectly, and I'm disappearing inside it." "I can tell," Brynlee said. "I spent 7 years being functional in a house where nobody noticed. I was disappearing too." "How are you not angry, after everything your family did?" "I am angry. I just don't let it make my decisions. My mother said anger shows you where you're hurt, but it makes a terrible compass." 6 weeks in, on a rainy night, everything nearly broke apart. A song came through Reese's laptop by accident, her mother's favorite. Reese collapsed on the floor, knees to her chest, hands over her ears, shaking hard enough that the room seemed to shake with her. Cain dropped to his knees. "Reese, look at me, I'm here." But she was somewhere the grief had taken her. Unreachable. Brynlee sat beside her, shoulders touching, and started humming. Barely audible, no real melody. Just a sound that said, "I am here. I am not leaving." Slowly, Reese's shaking slowed. Her head tipped sideways and came to rest on Brynlee's shoulder. Cain, still on his knees, pressed a hand over his mouth. By midnight, Reese was asleep. Brynlee found Cain in the hallway, his composure completely gone. She crossed the hall and put her arms around him. He went still, then broke. Quietly, a long shaking breath against her shoulder, arms around her with the grip of a man who'd pretended to be fine for far too long. At the door at 1 in the morning, he said, "You are not invisible. Not to me, not to Reese, not to Georgia, who texted me last week to say you were the most decent person who's walked through that gate in years." Brynlee walked out, made it 3 steps before her legs gave out. She stood alone in the rain and cried. Not sad tears, not happy ones, the kind with no name because they carry too much at once. Her phone lit up. "Get home safe. Text me when you're there." "I will." His reply came in 4 seconds. "I know you will." She didn't see what was waiting. Dallas in the living room, arms crossed. Peyton on the couch, Cain's net worth pulled up on her phone. Sawyer quiet in the corner. Dallas saw it immediately, the change. The unmistakable look of a woman who has been treated like she matters. "Sit down," Dallas said. Quiet. That's how Brynlee knew it was serious. Brynlee Saturday talk. 6 visits in 4 weeks. Till midnight. That's not visiting. No, it's something else. "You walked into an opportunity that belonged to this family," Peyton snapped. "To you," Brynlee said, turning to face her. "Say what you mean. You're plain." Quiet. "You have nothing." He disagrees. "And I trust his opinion of me more than yours." "Ungrateful child. After everything this family has done for you." "What?" Brynlee said. "Has this family done for me?" Silence. A real question waited on with steady eyes. Dallas opened her mouth. Nothing came out. There was no list. Brynlee had done everything for this family. Cooked, nursed Sawyer through fevers, written Peyton's college essays and never once been thanked. She'd been the invisible engine of this house for 7 years, and now that engine had somewhere else to run. Into the silence, Sawyer spoke. "Let her go, Mom." Everyone turned. "I started this. I said send her as a joke. I never think about her. None of us do." She looked at Brynlee. "I'm sorry." "I know," Brynlee said. "Not it's okay." It wasn't. Dallas's mask had dropped, and underneath it was fear. Not of losing Cain, but of understanding, finally, that she had underestimated something essential. Brynlee stood, touched Sawyer's shoulder. I heard you. Then she went upstairs and texted Cain. I'm home. Good. Sleep well, Brynlee. Reese's birthday came 3 weeks later. No party. Parties are performative. Just cooking with Brynlee and a movie. Reese answered the door herself, wearing a yellow shirt, the first color Brynlee had ever seen her wear. They cooked for 3 hours. Cain stayed out of the kitchen entirely, leaving his work untouched for the first time in 2 years, just listening to laughter fill the house. At dinner, Reese asked, out of nowhere, "Did you always know you were smart, or did someone have to tell you?" "No one told me," Brynlee said. "For a long time I thought the problem was me." "I think I'm smart," Reese said carefully, "but I keep waiting for someone to tell me it's allowed." "You don't need permission," Brynlee said. "It feels like you do." "You don't." Reese smiled, really smiled, for the first time in 2 years. Cain saw it and couldn't put words to what crossed his face. That evening, in the library, Cain said, "I didn't expect you. I decided I was done looking for anything. Then you walked through my gate and told me the truth before I offered you a chair, and something I'd put away woke up." He looked at her steadily. "I love you, Brynlee. Not because Reese needs you. Because of you. Exactly you. The you your family sent here as a joke." "I was afraid to come back that first Tuesday," Brynlee said, "because I knew something would start I couldn't stop. The only thing worse than never being chosen is being chosen and then losing it. My mother waited her whole life to be seen. She died waiting. I'm not going to do that." She took a breath. "I love you too. I think you're the same kind of lonely as me. I think neither of us has to be anymore." He crossed the library in 3 steps, took her face in his hands, and kissed her. The museum house became a home. They married 4 months later. Small, private, no cameras. Reese asked to stand beside Brynlee quietly in the kitchen 3 weeks before. "There is nowhere I would rather have you," Brynlee told her. Cain waited at the end of the garden path. She walked toward him in a plain dress, entirely herself. "Hi," he said just to her. "Hi." Dallas found out through a business associate's mention at an event. She sat down when she heard, actually sat, which she never did in a crisis. Peyton went through disbelief, fury, and finally a hollow kind of nothing. She never called. Sawyer did. "I just wanted to say congratulations. I mean it." A pause. "Are you happy?" "Yes." "Good. You always should have been." "Come for dinner sometime," Brynlee said. "Just you. As someone I grew up with." "I'd like that." Dallas came 6 weeks later. She asked first, no demands. "I don't know how to do this," she said at the door. "I was wrong about you. For years. I don't have an excuse. I have reasons, small, selfish ones, but not excuses." "I'm not going to tell you it's fine," Brynlee said. "It wasn't. But my mother raised me to move toward people instead of away from them." She stepped back from the door. "Come in. Tea is on." Not a reconciliation. Not yet. A beginning, fragile, honest, the only kind that leads anywhere. That evening, Cain found Brynlee in the garden, looking up at the sky. "Tell me about her again. Something I haven't heard." She used to sing when she thought no one was listening. Badly. But like the singing itself was the whole point. "She sounds like you," Cain said. "Doing things like they're the whole point, not the result." He took her hand. "She lives in you." For the first time, thinking of her mother didn't only hurt. Felt like company. Reese got her first college acceptance letter on a Thursday morning, before anyone else was awake. She found Brynlee in the kitchen in pajamas. "Well," Brynlee said, reading it, "obviously. I thought they might say no." "Then you haven't been paying attention. You're one of the most intelligent people I've ever met. Don't tell your father I said that." Reese laughed, full and real, then threw her arms around Brynlee's neck. Brynlee held her back, hard, and felt some long open circuit finally close. Cain appeared in the doorway, still in yesterday's shirt, and crossed the kitchen to wrap his arms around both of them. The coffee went cold. The sunrise came through the window. Outside, the world went on, indifferent as always. Inside that kitchen, nothing was indifferent. "There's a photograph," Georgia took it on her phone one Tuesday morning. Cain reading, Brynlee with her hands in garden soil, Reese on the grass in her yellow shirt. No one looking at the camera. No performance. Georgia sent it with one line. This is what it looks like. Brynlee looked at it a long time. She thought about a woman who sang badly and moved toward people instead of away. She thought about a girl who stood in a doorway for 26 years, waiting to be seen. She thought about a gate opening. She sent the photo to Sawyer without a caption. Some things don't need one. She saved it as her lock screen, put her phone away, and went back to the garden. Her hands went back into the soil. Around her, the roses didn't ask for permission. They just grew, exactly what they were always meant to be. The joke they sent through that gate became the only thing in that house that was ever real.